Alright, we're trying something different because, I mean, the whole camera set, it's a 4K crop, so it's too close but too far away for the microphone, and I can't. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. I figured it out. Hopefully this works. It's 1080p, but it looks clean, looks fast. Hopefully that does the trick. Anyways, reading list, because I still can't commit to doing a Son of a Fiction, because with every episode, I end up wanting to rewrite the whole script because something new arrives and I want to talk about that. And then I see more tweets and I want to talk about that. And it's just everything but wanting to do a reading log. Anyways, it's a bit of a messy one because Indigo shenanigans and whatnot. But there's 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, there's actually 7 volumes. Technically 8 because one's an omnibus, but same difference. I'll get started. I've actually been doing catch up on my light novels. So we have the ephemeral scenes of Setsuna's journey, and for whatever reason I have a stroke whenever saying the title, because I always call it the ephemeral sights of Setsuna's journey, which isn't correct. It says scenes. I think, yeah, let's see if I can get it to show scenes. You can see the scenes there probably, but yeah. It's scenes. Anyways, second volume, Rokusyo, I think that's how I'd say it. The author of the series. I was really impressed with the first volume, apparently so much so that I neglected to read this one for several months. But anyways, I really liked their work on the first volume. I really liked their centralization of Setsuna as not a tertiary character, but the point of their character was always to be associated with someone else, to be like the figurative grandson, the figurative brother, the figurative whatever. It does a lot to really frame his experience in his own world versus in this new world. And I think that's really great because that's one of the things that I really dislike with a lot of these isekai light novels is when you have a character that really had a sour experience in their first life. You don't see them trying to maximize that in their second life. And that kind of bothers me sometimes. But Setsuna's done a really good job with that. And they've done a really good job in the second volume. I think they've taken a lot of the implied, I guess you call them the implied themes and ideas that exist and kind of helped extrapolate them to form a bigger picture. They're forming the direction that they want to take the series in, because it can't just be Setsuna being a father, a brother, a son, or whatever else. It has to be more than that. And the direction they've chosen to go in this volume is really intelligent. It really speaks to Rokusyo's ability to build a world and to really have Setsuna meaningfully interact within it. Yes, it's a little more of like a convenient story in that sense, but I mean, you kind of always have to lean into those things, so what can you do about it, right? There's not much. Anyways, for first time in English, I'd have to check what they've done before in general, but for first time in English, it's a really phenomenal light novel, and I'm really glad that Yen Press decided to license it, because this is what we need more of in English. We need these light novels that are more focused in on, not tertiary, but focused on moving past the idea of isekai into a more fantasy type setting. Because I mean, the whole idea of isekai is to really set the stage. It is a theme that is used to address flaws within characters, challenges for them to overcome, and to sort of translate their experiences into a fantasy world. It is not meant to be overpowered power fantasy with all the girls and all the slavery. So yeah, it's great. You should be reading it. I mean, most probably are, but anyways. On to the next one. We have Ice Guy and the Cool Girl, Volume 3. I hate the title. The Ice Guy and his cool female colleague sound much better. Anyways, I think Square Enix is probably the best publisher at this point in time for just the quality of their publications. You go down the line in like 10 years-ish or so, and I mean, these pages will still be nice and white, as you can see there. They'll be very smooth still. That's something that I really, not take offense, but really bothers me with a lot of other publishers. But that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this volume. I really loved the anime for this. I really thought it was great. There was a lot of good work. Probably my favorite part was the art direction, and it's something that you don't really see in here because a lot of it is more about the characters. And I mean, the character designs are phenomenal. Their art in the series is impeccable. I love the designs. I love how expressive and stylish they are. They're just 10 out of 10. Would read again. One of the things I find more interesting in reading the manga is actually how fractured it is compared to the anime. So what happened is there's still content in this third volume that we see in the anime, but the order of events really differs in comparison to these 3 volumes so far. So like some stuff doesn't appear until later, some stuff is way before, like chapters get compressed together kind of thing. It's really interesting, and I really enjoy reading the manga because of that, because it's a different experience. It's a lot more episodic in that sense. And I think that's really fun. I think it's a nice difference to have when reading. I mean, kudos to the anime staff for creating a more cohesive experience in that regard. I mean, credit to, where's the name here, because I don't say it wrong. Miyuki Tonogaya. I wanted to say Tonogawa, but it's Tonogaya. Miyuki Tonogaya for their incredible art and the beautiful work. And yeah, it's a great read. It is pricey, so kind of be aware of that. But I think overall, it's fun. You can probably get it digitally for cheap if you're that bothered by it, but it's a great pickup. And next we have Soara and the House of Monsters. I think this is a series where it's either you're going to like it or you're not, and you're going to be able to tell within the first few chapters, like 2-3 chapters tops. Anyways, second volume, it does more to kind of stray away from the episodic nature of the first volume, which is definitely something that a lot of people would rather. It gives the characters an end goal, like something they're reaching for, and it gives them challenges set out and all of this stuff. And it's really interesting. Of course, it still sticks close to the importance of Soara's character herself and kind of her whole idea of reconciling her understanding of monsters and demons and whatnot. But anyways, still, I think the actual translation and lettering work on Soara is phenomenal. I mean, look at how much text is in here. It's so there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot, and it takes a lot of effort to really like put that in. Not put that in, but I mean, you can see. Let me see if I can get a close up of some of these. Yeah, like that. You can see that the text overlaps the art. And I mean, in cases like this, that either means that the text originally was outside of the art, like it was in the blank space on the page, or that someone had to go in and touch up the actual art to put the text over top. Or, I mean, the secret third option is they actually gave the translators the layers for the pages, but that's not actually that common. Anyways, point aside, it's a fun volume. It's stylish. It's very dated, I might say. In terms of feeling, it's an interesting thing to try and explain. I don't think maybe this chapter will help. I think the art and styling definitely shows its age pretty well in here, but even still, I think it's good art. Like it's well done. It's just a style that isn't all that common anymore, I guess would be the answer. It's not something that you see very often. And a lot of the jokes as well. It's very, I really don't want to keep calling it dated, but it's just what it is. It's an older style that I think a lot of people won't be interested in, even if the art's good. I mean, look at this guy. Get my hands out of the way if I can. Your fat fingers there. But yeah, I think it's just like if it clicks, it clicks. If it doesn't, it doesn't. There's no worth in worrying over it because it's just a manga, right? Like it's something that you're gonna read to waste time. Well, not to spend time wasted well, I should say. So it's not something like Ice Guy per se, but I think it's something that you could probably read if you wanted to. It's fun. There's not many manga about building houses for monsters and whatnot. So if you like it, you like it. I picked it up, so. Here we go. Another light novel because I was on that grind this week. Sabikui Bisco, Miraculous Final Cut. I gotta say, despite Kabukubo, Shinji Kabukubo, I always stumble over their name. Despite Kabukubo's kind of self-reflection and kind of don't get stagnant in there afterward here, I think this was probably my favorite volume since the original volume of Sabikui Bisco. It's just crazy to say, but I mean, I think the themes and styling of this volume are just too great. Like, I mean, I think Kabukicho really struck gold with like the idea that they came up with for this volume. It does make me question what you can really do next to follow it up that isn't just kind of out of left field and totally unrelated, but I think it's a phenomenal read. And also shout out to the translator. Let me actually go to the let me see if it shows the translation on the back. Nope. I had to go searching for it. I want to shout them out. I follow them on Twitter, but their name escapes me at this point in time. But I want to give them credit because this was a phenomenal work. Oh, show me translator, please. Jake Humphrey. There we go, Jake. Sorry about that. The translation here is like the accents, the themes, the swearing. They have a startling understanding of what Kabukicho's writing is like in Japanese, and they're able to effortlessly translate it into English. Honestly, probably one of my favorite light novel translations, like, period. Like, I wish Humphrey could be on on every light novel that I want to read. They're so good. They're so great. I'll go find their Twitter, and I'm going to put it down here somewhere so people can go check them out, because they talk a lot about translation stuff, and they've talked about Sabikui Bisco on their Twitter. I think they're a great follow in that sense. So anyways, it's a great volume. I love the art. I love the style of Bisco. Actually, one of the coolest things, there is a manga available at the start of this this volume, which I thought was super cool because they have a... Oh, here you go first. They have a... they had, I should say, a manga in Japanese originally, but that kind of puttered out and it's kind of up in the air right now kind of thing. I think it's great illustrations and art though, so hopefully it continues at some point. But anyways, great volume. I mean, it's 6 deep, so I can't really say, oh, you should read it for this volume. But I think Sabikui Bisco is probably one of the best non-fantasy, like, well, not when I say fantasy, I mean more medieval and like magical fantasy. This is post-apocalyptic, I guess, like biopunk? Maybe might be the correct term, biopunk. Anyways, probably the best non-fantasy science fiction, I suppose, science fiction novel we've had in English in a very, very long time. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's for everyone because Kabukicho's style of writing and how they proceed after Volume 3 is very much hit and miss for people. I would probably say pretty quickly. I know it's terrible to say, but it's hit and miss. But if the first volume calls your name after you've read it, like, all 6 are going to be for you, and you should definitely read it. So I really, really, really recommend checking it out, giving it a try. The light novel is actually surprisingly disparate to the anime if you've watched it. Not in any like massive ways, but I think the experiences are totally different. But anyways, read it if you can. If it calls your name, you're gonna want it. Anyways, all right, big and chunky. This one took a while because the original copy I got was damaged, and Indigo was refusing to send me replacements. So I ended up just trying to order it myself and get a refund from them. So that's what I did. Anyways, Homunculus 5/6. It's chunky. It's a great volume again. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have already read it digitally, but I'll just give a brief overview, I guess, of my thoughts on these 2 volumes because it's very, very intense. But the whole idea that really gets expressed is, oh Jesus, what's his name? I always just think of him as the main character. Anyways, the main character, because Nakoshi, there we go, Nakoshi. His whole goal, I guess, within these 2 volumes is to create himself anew. And that comes through really, really strongly just because of the character that he is doing that via. So before, it was always, he was trying to take on, not the sin, but take on what made someone a person before. The guilt, the malicious intent, the kind of isolation from society, the things that forced people to mature and become a person. It's a very weird way to phrase it, but he was subconsciously taking those on as a desire to kind of rebuild himself again because he let go of all of that earlier in his life. And I think that's just incredibly well expressed in ways that are impossible to explain, just like off the top of my head. It's an incredible, incredible read, and I love the work done in here. I think a lot of people, well, when I got licensed, a lot of people were worried about the content in 3 and 4, I mean, I can kind of get why they'd be worried, but I think it's perfectly passable as long as you're aware of it, which is the thing. So be aware of some of the content that can appear when you are basically trying to make, a homunculus, something that's not human, into a human. So you're going to face down a lot of disturbing and challenging thoughts and ideas expressed within. And I mean, I think the art really does a phenomenal job of expressing that piece. There's a lot of visual tricks outside of what Nakoshi sees the homunculi as. And it's really just something that I think everybody should be reading at some point or another for ideas of the self, how a human exists in modern society, what happens in a vacuum, like just tons and tons and tons of ideas about humanity and, I guess, the ego, id. Okay, so anyways, the three facets of a person, the ego, the id, and the superego. That's not the right order. Anyways, I am not a psychologist, but anyways, this makes you think about psychology. This makes you think about what constitutes a person and how a person comes to be versus, well, in this case, a homunculus, someone pretending to be a person. And I mean, it's just phenomenal, flawless. You should read it, of course. Anyways, this was an interesting one because I actually I follow Eldo Yoshimizu on Twitter. I love their art, but I've been kind of slow to pick up Ryuko because I know a third volume was coming. I don't know if it's included in the license that Titan has on Ryuko right now, but I know that the third volume exists, and I really wanted it, so I ended up getting the fancy edition here. Kind of a bummer though. Titan's quality is kind of sucky, which is a shame because, I mean, for anyone that knows, Yoshimizu is a fine artist. Like, they do a lot of actual, like, not commercial, but professional art. Not that manga isn't an art, but that their background can be a lot different than what others see in that regard. I mean, the craziest thing that I love about this is the fact that Yoshimizu pens all of this. There's no digital redo or remake in regards to it. And it's phenomenal. It's really something. Really, really, really something. Let me just see if I can find a good page here. Because there's a lot, but I'm looking for one in particular, as I recently read it. I think it's incredible. Like, it's just... Anyways, while I flip through this, I'll talk about the story. It's about a whole bunch of gangs, not necessarily just Yakuza, but kind of worldwide. I think it's really interesting to express that because, I mean, it's actually similar to a novel I got down there, Tezcatlipoca, which is all about the intersection of the Japanese Yakuza and the global stage. And that's kind of what Ryuko here is like. But anyways, let's see if I can find a page. The action's good. The story's really solid. I think it's maybe a little foreign to some just because of the nature of the Yakuza. But no, it's really, really great. And it disappoints me that Titan's quality on this release is so poor. Because there's really a lot to love about it. There's a lot to love. Here, how about this one? We'll do this one. I'll give up because there's too many to pick from. All of that stuff on that page there was penned. It was not digitally done. There is no texturing. There is no screen tones, really, as far as I'm aware. This is just like pure undistilled art from Yoshimizu, and I think it's really, really great. I think some of it can show Yoshimizu's age in a few pieces, just in terms of narrative. But I mean, that also feels like part of the charm for the series. So, I mean, I would probably say read this digitally, get the full experience and as high as quality as possible. But I mean, I can't say no to people trying to collect the art for this series. I mean, Yoshimizu is absolutely something else. They are incredible at what they do. Let me see if I got another piece here. Like, it's just... I can't really fathom the amount of work that goes into each of these pages. It's incredible. the accuracy, the detail, the style of it. I mean, it's impeccable. Like look at the texturing and design work here. Like that amount of detail for a single shot is incredible. It's insane. But yeah. Anyways, it's actually cool because the little box set thing that this came in has these little cards. I think they're nice. I think they're cards. They're not anything special. And it doesn't really forgive the quality of the books, which is disappointing. But, I mean, it's Ryuko, it's Yoshimizu. I mean, having it in person is, well, having it translated in general, I should say, is really, really great. But if you want the full experience, read digitally. Like, the margins for the spines, they aren't that good. The quality of the paper is super thin and scratchy, so you can see through to the other side. It's disappointing. It's disappointing, really. But I'm not a publisher. I can't really do anything to change that. So all I can do is say read digitally. But yeah, it's a bit of a slow week for reads. I've been kind of struggling to find volumes that aren't light novels to read because Indigo's been very much a pain with pre-orders and whatnot. So, but I have a big box of them behind the camera right now that I need to go through. So I have lots of stuff from December to talk about in February, right? So yeah. But anyways, we'll do a quick aside here just on the Sign of Affection stuff. I really do want to make a video on it, but I feel like every time that I see the episodes on Saturday, I just have like 100 new ideas I want to talk about. Like the most recent episode 5, maybe 5, yeah, 5 for Sign of Affection. The conversation and communication between Itsuomi and Yuki is just phenomenal. It's so effortless and incredible. And it makes me want to talk about that a whole lot. But if I do that, then the video is going to be an hour long. So I think I might actually just end up waiting till the end of the season. Jesus Christ. I'll end up waiting until the end of the season to make a video on it so that I can collect my thoughts effectively and actually provide something in under 30 minutes that people might want to watch. Because of that, I'm going to be kind of brainstorming a few other ideas this week. But I mean, Super Bowl is coming up. Go Chiefs. So probably won't be anything special until like later next week, if that. So we'll see. I'll stop rambling. I'm going to go open my books and see what I got going on in there. So I'll see you guys around.